Okay, let's start over since we didn't really do anything. So, last time on Rise of Nagath, you learned quite a bit more about the Anvatar and what Nagath specifically is, or rather what it is not. You learned that Maran believes she can reforge the 6 shards of Anvatar back into the Anvatar, although she is not confident it will take less than 6 weeks to do. She also explained to you that Nagath is not really a thing, it's not an entity, it is rather the lack of existence. Whereas everything around you is existence, Nagath is the lack of it. The rise of Nagath means the rise of non-existence, i.e. the end of the world. Which is great.
No big deal.
That's fun. Yeah, that's fun.
Cool.
It's probably fine. You
For Nagath, I remember that was a very important conversation.
but not much past that. You met up, sort of, with Vander Skane, the local socialite slash influence peddler slash mostly influence peddler, who was just so eager to congratulate the newly betrothed. And Escher thought it was very funny, and then realized that he was gonna have to do this shit for the rest of his life, and is like, oh no. So you also met back up with Varain, who was actually dominating Vander Skane.
Vasha
And
had a really great time.
Vasha had a great time. Vasha had a mental breakdown of some stripe. After
Still got adrenaline going. The breakdown will come after that goes.
by pointing out that Vasha has been a little murder hobo-y, and if Vasha gets to make choices about what life is sacred and what isn't, then what makes them different? So that was fun. That's probably not going to have any consequences.
Nah, probably not.
And then Shadow Dragons attacked and really, really badly damaged the Tremaine estate. Like, one of them basically came in through a crack in the wall and destroyed the living room. Another one broke the top of the spire. You heard some other damage going on around various areas of the castle, or, well, it's not really a castle, various areas of the estate, and yeah, it's difficult to ignore just how badly the estate has been fucked up. But the good news is, after Ember fell to his knees and performed the Scroll of Wish, the shadow that had been swallowing the sky, Sigil, the plane of doors, the city of doors, which had been falling out of the sky, suddenly stops falling out of the sky and slowly reverses back up to the top of its spire. Unfortunately, Ember, your strength is now 4. Or 3, sorry.
3. I was like, I wrote down 3. Did you lie?
That was free.
Your base strength is now 3. You have never felt this weak.
Minus 3 mod. I'm gonna sob myself.
Escher is going to catch you and reassure you, like, it's fine, it's fine. It only lasts, I believe it was 5 days is what we rolled. We rolled 2d4 and it turned out to be 5. The first thing Mordenkainen is going to do, he looks a little dazed. He looks away from the sky and down at you, Ember, and he's like, well done. And then he slowly makes his way over to the corpse of the Shadow Dragon to look it over.
Like, Ember's just on the floor, like, clutching himself, muttering.
Oh.
And Escher is patting your hair and reassuring you that your muscles were at most 20% of the reason he loved you. It's fine. It's fine.
This is not helping. It is, in fact, making things worse. Ember, like, looks up and is distraught, and he's like, 20% is a lot.
It's fine.
Can you really do math?
It's fine. They'll come back. You'll be restored in just a couple days. You just need
How
some
do
rest.
you know?
Because that's how the spell works, babe.
I don't believe you.
I know how to do magic. Trust me.
I think Ember, like, tries to get up and presumably does not do a good job of it and falls back down and just he's just like muttering to himself, like,
Was this armor always this heavy?
I think he stops for a bit too. He looks up and he starts looking around the destruction of the castle and he goes, What about my garden? Where is my garden?
Escher's like, babe, this isn't the time for that. Listen, you're not in a good state to look at what happened to your garden.
He's like catatonic. He's not responding.
Oh,
He's
no.
just like rocking back and forth, muttering to himself. I'm sorry, carry on.
Mordenkainen leans over to Moran, who comes up to his side, and he says to her, "How on earth did Varain manage to get complete control of a shadow dragon?" And Moran kind of shakes her head, and she says, "I don't know."
Not just one.
And she
You
says,
know, Baku's like
"Yes,
looking
several."
around like, oh yeah, not just one.
Yes, several. And she says, "I'm going to go scout the damage done to the estate." And as she speaks, she transforms back into her dragon form. Mordenkainen says, I'll look around inside, see what was done inside." And she takes off into the air. And Mordenkainen returns his eyes to you, and he says, "There are still people in the basement that we should probably attend to."
Yep.
That's true. There are people. I forgot about that out of character.
Yes, that is true. It was Mama Tremaine, Davin, Tala, the baby, and Vander Skane are still in the basement, presumably.
All right.
Yep.
We should go check on them.
Yep, let's go check.
Escher is willing to shoulder you up, to help you up, Ember.
Baku is like gonna drag you if you don't walk. Like, let's go. You have a baby waiting for you.
I like get up, but grudgingly, and I'm still not talking to anyone.
Escher is patting your back all the way down. And yes, even going down the stairs is a little bit harder than you remember, Ember.
Oh god, I'm like out of breath. he's like,
Escher keeps patting your back like, "It's fine. You're fine." You make it down the steps of the spire, and yeah, the destruction is kind of difficult to ignore. The dragon that was in the sitting room, the wingspan was so massive that it crashed through the hallway, took out a wall separating the sitting room and the hall. So there's some pretty bad structural damage. There's, of course, any furniture in the sitting room has been completely destroyed. It looks like the chimney in the sitting room is mostly collapsed on itself at this point. Things are looking pretty bad. I'm just wondering, mostly, well, I guess for all of you, except for Escher, who's still relatively new. You've all spent quite a lot of time in the Tremaine estate. What are your thoughts upon seeing it to be not completely ruined, but really close to completely ruined?
Baku is definitely worried about their study and the bunnies.
Oh, the bunnies.
Yeah, which they didn't put back in the bag because there wasn't time. So
Oh,
Escher
bunnies.
would encourage you to go check on the bunnies now before any more collapsing can
Right.
happen.
exactly, Baku's like, I will be back.
And then Baku scampers off like, "Bunnies!"
Exactly, it's like babies. Exactly.
So you go and down to the basement, and who wants to open the door and say, "Come on out"? Because Escher will if no one else is in the right mood.
I don't know if Ember can open doors
Ember does not
anymore.
want his mom to see him like this, so he is refusing to go down. I think Ember stops at the top of the stairs, and he goes, I can't have her."
Escher grabs you by your shoulders, turns you around to force you to look him in the eyes, and he says, "Babe, the only reason you are like this right now is because you saved the entire world. Do you understand that? You saved not only Faerun, but all of Toril and all of Sigil by what you did. You should not be embarrassed. You should be proud."
That's very sweet, but did I save my rutabagas?
Perspective, babe. Perspective. Rutabagas can regrow. Come on.
You say that, but he like stops. He's like getting really emotional.
Rutabagas.
Oh my god.
He's like tearing up a little.
Oh.
Like this armor is just really heavy. It's been a really long day, and that was my favorite sitting room. And he's just like he's trying really hard to keep it together, and he's not doing a good job. I think he just like sits down in like a broken chair that I would assume collapses under him.
Escher sighs and knocks on the basement room door and pulls it open and says, "It's safe to come out." And slowly, one by one, not just of the named characters, but many of the servants who went down with them as well, come filing out. And they're looking around at all the destruction, and they're absolutely shocked. Like, they can't believe what they're seeing. They've never seen the Tremaine estate in such a state of disrepair. The bunnies, by the way, Baku, they are fine. But your study is a couple floors above the sitting room, so you do not feel confident keeping them in your study anymore.
Right, so Baku has like gathered up and it's like, welp, I would rather have my study be in ruins than the bunnies, so there we go. Like, kind of looks wistfully at the books like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Baku gathers up the bunnies and rejoins the party with them all tucked into their bag of holding.
No.
Yeah, bunnies in the bag of holding. Yes, where they belong.
So I'm assuming Ember's mother has come upstairs.
Yes, that by now everyone is back upstairs and, trying to assess the damage.
So I think he's trying to like not meet her eyes, but he gives her a big hug and he's like, "I'm so glad you're safe."
She hugs you back, of course. She's like, "We heard this terrible rumbling. What happened?"
He's like, "Please don't hug so hard, that hurts."
She kind of assesses you, and she knows enough about magic and has heard enough of, what's happened. She has a guess as to what you did, and she just kind of pats your cheek. And she says, "It's all right, darling. The effects aren't going to last forever. You'll be right as rain in a couple days."
You say that now, but what happens if I'm not?
Escher's like, "Ember, I swear to God."
I think Ember turns to Escher at this point, and he takes him by the shoulders.
She's
He
like,
looks
"Oh
him
my God."
deeply in the eye. And he's like, "I need you to go check on my garden, and then I need you to be honest with me."
Escher's like, "Oh my God, fine. I'll check on your garden. Can you please, babe, I love you so much, but can you please, turn down the drama? We've got a lot to do."
Right.
I can't do anything, and he collapses dramatically on the floor.
Oh my god.
Escher's like, "I know this is part of the reason why I fell in love with you, but also it is part of the reason I just want to punch you in your stupid face." And then he turns and he heads
Punch your
out.
mouth with my mouth.
Punch your mouth with my mouth. Yes. And then he kind of stalks off to check on the garden, apparently.
Gosh.
Yeah, I just checked my strength at a character, and wow, Ember, you weak.
Yeah.
Even compared to Baku.
Unpleasant. I don't like this conversation.
This is bullying.
Carry on.
Mordenkainen appears while Escher is gone to check on the garden. And he says, "I hope you all realize that we absolutely cannot stay here."
Baku's like, "Yep, I'm ready. I
Ember looks
can
up
do
distraught, and
sucks."
he's like, "We'll put it back together. It's fine."
Mordenkainen says, "No, we cannot stay here. There is a huge target on this place now."
Where can we go?
Mordenkainen kind of gives a shrug. He hasn't really thought it through. All he knows is that you can't stay here. And right as you are about to have that conversation, you hear,
Does
Ember looks
anyone
up,
want
he's
to
like-
answer the door?
Someone's gonna get that.
Not really, but I guess I go to a window and look out.
there's no real window by the front door that you can safely
Okay.
look out. Or at least not that hasn't been destroyed by shadow dragons.
Oh,
Let's just all cautiously approach. Or, yeah.
I will not be approaching anything.
Nope, okay. Baku's like, somebody has to go.
okay.
Looks at Vasha like, together?
Okay, together.
So you
Alright.
you go to the door and you open it?
2, 1.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Open the door.
All right, what you see is, let me find that picture. You see a woman who looks like that, and you hesitate to label her as a woman. She does not feel like a woman. She is dressed resplendently. She's maybe about 7 feet tall, with this strange sword-like headdress around her face and a long golden gown. And she says, "I traced the magic here."
Sorry, what magic are you talking about?
Mordenkainen, by this point, is coming up behind you, and you can hear him in the background like, "Oh my God." And she says, "I traced the magic that saved Sigil here." She kind of looks past all of you, and she looks at the bundle of servants gathered in the back at everyone, Mama Tremaine and David, and they're all just kind of staring at her. And the only one who seems to know who she is right off the bat is Mordenkainen, and he looks pretty scared. He looks a little worried. And she says, "May I come in?" And she's like asking this like she barely understands the concept of formality.
I glance at Mordenkainen.
I know, like...
Mordenkainen
Baku
is
also
frantically
turns and,
nodding,
"Who
like,
is
yes,
this?"
yes, let her in right now.
Please,
Okay.
please, please, my lady.
She glides past you and inside as she has her hands clasped together in front of her stomach, and she says, "Is there somewhere we could talk?"
I kind of look around at all the destruction.
Right.
Looks like this, so here's fine.
She's,
We haven't looked at the kitchen. Maybe the kitchen's okay.
you do have a dining room that you think might have survived.
Let's go check.
Let's go
there.
check that.
So she follows you to the dining room, and Mordenkainen is he waits for her to pass before he walks behind her, like he's afraid to get in front of her.
Baku's gonna like hang back and be like, like whisper to Mordenkainen, like, "What's going on? Who is this?"
Actually, Baku, roll religion or arcana, whichever is higher for you.
Oh, not too bad.
Not too bad.
As well as I'd hope, though.
With the 15, like, you are scrambling to put together, not only who would be able to trace magic related to Sigil, but why Mordenkainen, of all people, would be so scared of her. And you are slowly putting together that this might be you'd hesitate to call her a god. You'd call her more like the overlord of Sigil, the realm. Her name is the Lady of Pain. She is one of the most powerful creatures in existence, and what differentiates her from any other god is that she refuses to be worshipped, to the point where if you do try to worship her, you often meet a grisly, nasty end.
Oh dear.
Oh, okay.
So she kind of is just gliding into your dining room, and sits down, situating herself at the head of the table as if that is precisely where she should be.
Yeah. No arguments
sure.
here.
This is just as Escher comes back in, like, the garden's fine, you unbelievable neurotic mess.
Sure. We have company.
And she's like, we have company, and he looks around and he sees the Lady of Pain, and he's like, who's this?
Baku, you're the only one.
Oh, yeah, that's
knows.
right.
You and Mordenkainen.
Yeah, we all look like blankly. Actually, Ember looks up at Escher with like this like enormous look of hope on his face, and he's like, "The garden's fine."
Yes, the garden's fine, you...
Baku's like, yeah, more importantly, the Lady of Pain is in your estate.
I don't think... Well, actually, this is plainer, so Escher might recognize the Lady of Pain, the name, at least. He doesn't know many of the details. He does know that she's, like, the overlord of Sigil, and he's like, oh, okay. And then,
Can I roll to see if I recognize the name?
yeah, you can roll religion to see if you recognize the name. Religion or arcana, whichever.
Vasha wouldn't.
Ooh.
Oh. Yeah, you recognize the name, the Lady of Pain. Here's what you know about the Lady of Pain. She is as powerful, if not more powerful than any god, because Sigil is unique amongst the planar realms in that gods not only are not allowed in, but cannot go inside. So she somehow has the power to keep gods out of her realm, which makes her unfathomably powerful. And she is also known to be quite cruel. When it suits her, she is very unforgiving. She does not do things like hold a fair trial. Like, if she finds you guilty, you're just guilty and you're fucked.
Oh no.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think Ember now is like snapped to his senses after he hears the good news about his garden. So
Paler than ever.
at Baku, and there's like dawning horror in his eyes, and he like takes a step back and like tries to like put a protective armor like across Escher's chest, like, and he's like, "This is not good."
The Lady of Pain, it should be noted, has not made any, like, aggressive moves toward you. In fact, she has sat down at the head of the table, and she's looking at you, like, at all of you, like she's waiting for you to do the same.
Yep, we should probably sit down.
I guess I like gingerly take a seat as far away from her as humanly possible.
On the other end of the table.
Yep.
I mean, that makes sense, it's the Lord.
Mordenkainen also sits down. Moran also arrives around this time. She had done some scouting, and she looks like she's about to update you when she sees the Lady of Pain, and she's like, oh. So in total, everyone around the tables, that's Mordenkainen, Mother Tremaine, Dave and Tala, Mordenkainen, Vander Skane. He's in the room, but he's like in the back of the room. Like, he's too nervous to ask what he should do because, like, clearly there is someone extraordinarily powerful here, and he doesn't know what to do. Also, your mother, Tala, is here, but she's sort of in the same boat as Vander Skane, Baku. She doesn't really know what to do. So the Lady of Pain folds her hands on the table, and she regards all of you, and she says, I suppose I have at least one of you to thank for saving Sigil, and I suppose to a lesser extent, the Prime Material Plane.
I suppose you do.
Baku
that would
like
be that
looks
one.
at Ember.
She says, I am not accustomed to giving thanks. She kind of eyes you, Escher. She says, but thank you. She takes a moment to regard, Lady Tremaine still has baby Ander in her arms. She takes a moment to regard the baby, and her lip curls back and she kind of sneers. But for the moment, she seems to put that out of her head, and she says, now that we've gotten that formality out of the way, tell me exactly what happened, how it happened, who's responsible, or I'm going to banish all of you to the mazes.
It was Varain! Baku says immediately.
Well,
I don't think we know that it's Varain.
yeah, it's more
We
likely
think it's Varain.
Nagath.
Like, Ember looks up at the Lady of Pain. That feels like a weird sentence. And he's like, we have nothing to hide. There is a creature called Nagath. and we think
Escher
it's a
mumbles
creature.
he's not a creature.
Okay, there's a thing
Concept.
of no gender called Nagath that is coming to end.
She interjects, I know what Nagath is.
Oh, great. Well, that's great. I didn't know, so I just figured, okay. Anyways.
I remember when Nagath rose the last time.
We believe that Nagath is rising again.
She kind of sneers again. She says, of course it is. It's always something. She considers this for a moment, and she says, I have a vested interest in the continuation of the planar system, she says. And it seems that you have some interest in it as well. Tell me, what is it you are doing to stop the rise of Nagath?
Ember turns to Moran and is like, do you want to take this?
Moran is kind of she's starting to recognize who the Lady of Pain is, and she's realizing, okay, gotta play nice with the nut god or whatever she is. She says, all right, my bloodline has historically been guardians of the Anvatar, which, as I assume you know, since your age is. And she kind of stops herself, like maybe not the best idea to comment on a lady's age.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
She says, many thousands and thousands of years ago, the Anvatar was broken into 6 shards, and I think that I might be able to reforge it and use the Anvatar once again to banish Nagath back from whence it came. The Lady of Pain slowly nods. And she says, what are your next steps, and how can I help?
Good question.
Days, but we need to prepare.
And we also need a place to stay, Baku reminds.
To have Moran reforge the Avatar, my lady.
She says, I am not an artificer, and I cannot help you with that. But if you need a place of sanctuary...
Yes, that's what we need. I was going there next.
Mordenkainen sits up and he says, if we could stay in Sigil, and she raises one hand, she says, absolutely not with that thing. And she looks at Lathander.
Oh.
You know the rules of Sigil, Mordenkainen. No gods may tread in my domain.
Okay, well, is there somewhere else we can stay?
Mordenkainen leans back in his chair and he says, well, it would need to be somewhere out of the way, underpopulated or unpopulated, somewhere where it's not ethically dubious to put another giant target, somewhere quite remote, where there could be big magic done.
Deserted island, that's what I'm hearing.
Barovia?
Escher kind of looks a little nauseous.
Oh,
I know.
no.
I'm sorry, but
Barovia? There's people in Barovia.
not that many anymore, as you'll recall.
I don't know if it's still...
Baku's like looking at Escher like, I feel like that's not a great idea.
I know. It's okay. I'll
Surely
just
there
shut
are-
up.
Mordenkainen says, I hate to admit it, but that might be the best bet. Barovia emptied out after Strahd was destroyed, and now it's mostly just empty infrastructure and a cursed land.
Werewolves?
We can handle werewolves.
You can handle werewolves. I can't handle anything.
Out of character laughing, Baku would never laugh at you like that.
Not to your face,
Well,
anyway.
that's why-
Five friends
Glorious.
now.
Like Ember turns to Escher and he goes, "I would never ask you to do this. So if you say no, I am 100% behind you."
Escher is staring into his lap. He doesn't say no, but he just looks like he really doesn't want to, while at the same time acknowledging that it might be the best choice.
I reach over and I just squeeze Escher's hand and, remind him gently that he is gone. You obliterated him.
Escher says,
We all saw that.
I know. I'm not worried about the return of Strahd. I'm worried about all the ghosts that still live there. The Lady of Pain looks like she is very impatient with all this touchy-feely nonsense, and she says, I have a vested interest in destroying anything that would hinder your cause, and I am very pressed for time, so if you could skip to the part where you tell me who... You point me in the direction of what I need to destroy for you. Anything that stands in your way, I will unquestionably banish to the mazes.
Varain.
And
What's a Varain?
whatever.
Wait, did you just ask who Varain was?
She asked, what's a Varain, more specifically.
More of a who?
A window pane. It's like this floating great mold. Anyways, no. Varain is of the what is it? Is he the cult of Nagath? What is
It's
Nagath Regalia is the name of the cult.
Regalia, there we go.
Nagath Regalia, and he has a vested interest in bringing it back. He is working as hard as he can against us to stop us from reforging the Avatar.
She thinks about it for a moment, and then she says, very well. And she snaps her fingers, and a very curious creature appears.
Ah!
Okie dokie.
Their hair is sort of sits in the middle ground between cloud and white fire, snarling up from the top of their head. They are hovering a few inches off the ground. And she says, this is one of my Dabus. If you come across Varain or any creature that works directly under Varain, let it know, and that creature will be banished to the mazes for all eternity.
Great. Is it gonna come with us?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. He's looking really uncomfortable, but he's trying really hard to be polite. So I think Ember turns one last time to Escher and he goes, again, this is your decision. Barovia? And he puts his hand on his shoulder.
Escher sighs and he says, do you have a better idea?
Nope.
Says, I don't either.
Great, guess that's where we're going.
So I'm going to leave it up to you where specifically in Barovia you want to go. I still have the Curse of Strahd book, which has all the
Baku's
details.
Never been there, so they're like,
You're about to go.
Been there once.
Yeah, that's true. Baku went to Ravenloft, Castle Ravenloft, briefly,
Oh, that's true,
to
yeah.
get the omnibus. But that
That's
was about
right.
it.
We should not go to Ravenloft.
That was about it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we should go to the vineyard. That was fun.
As I recall, that was mostly destroyed by a giant walking tree.
Oh,
No. We
Uh,
saved it before it got destroyed.
You saved the people inside of it, don't get me wrong. But I think there was a whole lot of structural damage.
well, you guys are the ones that know what's still there. Baku's like, I saw the Castle Ravenloft. That's about it.
I thought we saved the...
I read it.
I don't know. I've got all the campaigns confused.
It was quite a while ago as well. And also, you have fond memories of the vineyard because it was occupied by a very nice were-raven family, but
They
they're
were so
almost
nice.
certainly not there anymore.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
Still a nice vineyard. There's wine. It all get trashed.
There was wine. At some point, there was wine. There is almost certainly not wine anymore.
No.
I feel like this is just intentionally trying to crush my dreams here, but okay.
Your garden is fine. Settle down.
What else? I guess we could go to the place with the dragon head. That was cool.
Argynvost? Argynvostholt, rather.
Argynvost.
Argynvostholt, that's an option.
Open for opinions here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I should know Barovia better than this.
It's been a while since you've done a Curse of Strahd campaign, so... let me bust open a map really quick.
There were some cows.
Baku's like looking back and forth, like amongst those of you that know it well. Like, I have no idea.
Where's that map? Alright, there's the village of Barovia, which is where you first found yourselves. That's probably not a terrible idea. There's also the village of Kresk, although I don't know if you ever went to Kresk in the,
No, we didn't. Kresk was on the other side.
yes, it was on the far side. There...
The one
Oh,
with
there's the
creepy-
Amber Temple, that fun little ruin.
Not going there.
Yeah, no, never ever going back in there.
Berez, there's the ruins of Berez. I don't know if you went there.
I don't
Vallaki,
think
that was a fun one. And I know you ruled it out, but, there's also Castle Ravenloft, which probably actually technically wouldn't be the worst place to go. It is
Yeah,
very
I mean,
defensible.
yeah.
I feel like no, we're not going to Ravenloft.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like literally where Escher was trapped for like that. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
That's just straight hardcore for me.
the Argynvostholt would probably be fine. It's still defensible. It was a little bit dilapidated,
It's also in
though.
the middle of nowhere too, which is good.
That's true. I imagine this is probably happening at least semi-IC, where you're all trying to remember your horrible, horrible time that you had in Barovia.
Basically, the long and short of it is we are not going to the Amber Temple. No way, no how.
Yeah, I would say if it comes down to it, it's either Argynvostholt,
Argynvostholt.
that one with the dragon, or Vallaki. Those are my two options.
Vallaki wouldn't be a terrible option either.
Yeah.
It's not far from...
Vallaki would have. Maybe we should do Vallaki. There might be like stuff.
Yeah, there would be more infrastructure in Vallaki. There's like stores and things.
That's my vote. My vote is Vallaki.
Also, I recall there were a lot of spiders that we hadn't dealt with in this this campaign.
But bear in mind, this campaign was designed for levels 1 to 9, and you guys are now level 16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So there's not a whole lot that
doesn't
would
mean that
threaten
Vasha
you.
likes spiders anymore.
It was a literal whole room of spiders, if I recall.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, it is.
What's your vote?
Vallaki would be fine.
Okay, Vallaki it is. We're going to Vallaki.
Going to Vallaki.
As you guys are like deciding this back and forth, and like Baku hears the word spiders and is kind of like,
That sounds terrible, but thanks for asking my opinion. Alright,
like perks up the word temple, and like Vasha's like no, and they're like oh,
You know. No.
and then here's spiders, and is like.
Page 95. Well, I haven't had to crack this bad boy open in a long time.
You'd have that creepy thing that said it would like give you whatever you wanted in return for.
Oh
something.
yeah, that
I
little
thought it
plot
was like
point
your
that you
soul
never
or
went for. Yes. Baku would probably actually like the Amber Temple just as a nerd.
I know, right?
Probably.
That's why they were like temple.
Oh, that's a good point because I bet you the Lich is still in there.
That poor confused lich, he didn't know what was going on.
He was great. He's so good. I miss him.
Yeah, he was
I've
radical.
forgotten about that.
That's true. I
I
think
blocked out
Baku
so
would
much
get along
Curse's
really
Strahd.
well with the Lich. Like they would have a lot of good conversations.
We're still on for Vallaki.
Role playing moments, damn it!
There's there's a lot of plot that could happen in the Amber Temple. I'm just saying. But I mean, strategically, Vallaki is probably a better choice.
Yeah, I feel like Vallaki's were. I feel like
Vallaki is closer, for one thing.
That's true. Vallaki is a lot closer, depending on from where you enter, and the closest entrance is near the village of Barovia.
Okay. I think so. I think we communicate that to the Lady of Pain that we would like to be in Vallaki.
As you communicate this to her, you look up and you realize that she's gone. Like she realized, okay, I don't need to be here anymore, and she just left.
And just left, and she's like, okay.
Okay.
The Dabu is still there though. It is standing there silently, just staring at you.
Is it like judgmental?
It has a face, but it does not have facial expressions that you can easily recognize. It is very otherworldly.
Great. Okay.
Most of this
Baku is
content,
going to approach it.
most of this content I have taken from the Planescape game of 4th edition, which is very, very, very good, and everyone in the D&D verse is really hoping that they're going to make a 5th edition campaign set in Sigil. Which I would jump on that shit, NGL. So, Baku, you approach it. Do you want to do anything to the Dabu, or just
Oh
poke it?
yeah, Baku is going to ask. Going to go up to it and be like, "Hello."
A symbol appears above its head, and I need you to make an intelligence check, Baku.
Okay. It's like they're trying to determine like the intelligence level and what it can understand, blah blah blah. So okay, intelligence. Oh, not bad.
Not bad. With a 19, you can decipher the symbol over its head to be a sort of greeting. Dabus cannot speak. They can only communicate with these very strange arcane symbols, and not anyone can understand them. You have to pass an intelligence check to understand them.
Oh, okay. Baku like sort of looks at the symbol and nods and is like, "Is there a way that I can refer to you? Do you have a name, perhaps, or a number designation?"
Another symbol appears over its head, which you take. Like, there's no, like, direct translation. It's more like you understand the symbol to mean that its name would be incomprehensible to you, and no, you don't have to give it a name or anything. It's just refer to it as the Dabu. That's all that matters. That's what it is.
Baku like finds this acceptable and is like, "Okay."
The Ember's just like looking very confused back and forth between the two.
Right, and just like joins the party again. It's like, it has no name. It says
Actually,
that
wait a
we
minute.
wouldn't
No,
understand.
Ember's gonna roll an intelligence check.
Okay, roll intelligence.
Its name is so obscure you wouldn't understand.
Nat 1! Nat 1! Wah, wah.
Damn it.
Yeah, you don't
That's
fucking
funny,
understand what the hell they're doing. There's some weird shape over its head. Who fucking knows?
He's just like staring ridiculously. He's just like, what the fuck is going? What is it? What are those symbols? Is it trying to communicate?
Baku's like, "Yeah,
It's like
it
trying to
says
figure
that-
out the Sims.
Yeah. It has a name, but it's too obscure. We wouldn't understand."
Okay. Well, I guess we should go to Valaki.
Let's, I guess, gather some
Baku's like, "I have no
provisions.
idea what this place is, but I'm interested in learning more about it on the way, perhaps."
Ember like looks at me and
Fill
is
you
like,
in.
don't expect a lot. It's pretty terrible.
Asher kind of
Last time we
nods in
went, there were
agreement.
all sorts of festivals.
You're not wrong.
It's no good. You won't like it, but feel free to be optimistic.
Your
Right.
mother, Ember, Lady Tremaine, says, "I suppose we would all have to leave. Like, we can't stay here. Like Mordenkainen mentioned, this place has a
I
huge
don't
target
think
on it
it's
now."
safe.
She looks kind of regretfully back at all the servants. Like, she's realizing she can't employ them anymore. Like, it's just not safe for them to be here. And she hands the baby over to you, Ember, and she says, I guess I'll make
I think
arrangements."
Ember like staggers a little because the baby is heavier than.
Asher's
Oh
like,
my
"Oh
God.
my god," and he takes the baby from you.
It's a baby. They don't weigh that much.
They do. I'm sorry. Have you held a baby recently? They're
I
like,
mean, I feel like my rabbits are about the same size as a human child.
It's
I think so. Ember, wait,
possible
Ember,
that some of them could go stay with my clan.
yeah. Ember turns to his mom and he like takes her by the shoulders and he's like, "We will rebuild. We will come back after this, and we are going to rebuild the Tremaine estate until it is just as good, better than new, and we will find places for these people. Can we perhaps send them to the temple, Lothander's temple? Perhaps they can seek employment in Neverwinter."
She says, "Most of them have family in Neverwinter or nearby villages. I'm sure they won't be homeless or anything. But some of them will need employment. I'll talk to them. We need to leave soon, but not immediately. We'll probably have to leave by morning light tomorrow."
Perfect.
You don't have to type. You don't have to type.
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
just-
Well, I was just gonna say, did anybody hear my offer?
going with the clan. Yeah, she says, I don't know. Like a couple of them probably came from your clan. Like when they saw your family get employment, they're like, "Hey, yeah, okay, let's do that." But most humans probably wouldn't really be comfortable living with elves.
No, that's fair.
They're a little too hippie-ish, you know. It's kind of like going from living in a city to living with a bunch of tree-dwelling forest.
Oh god,
forest
can't wait for the
hippies.
next campaign. Oh my god.
Anyway, but yeah. So I don't know. The elves among them that went with you will probably go back, but that's
Yeah.
probably the limit of it.
That's fair.
Yeah, Baku's gonna look at their mom and be like, where are you gonna go? Back home?"
Tala had been sort of waiting for a chance to talk to you by the look on her face, and she kind of nods her head out the door to talk to you in the hallway, Baku.
Okay. So Baku's gonna, I guess, go outside and be like, "Okay, let's have a chat."
Okay, your mother pulls you aside, Baku, and she says, "Yes, that well, to your question first, yes, I'm going to be going back south to rejoin the clan." And she says, "I had a talk with your with your birth mother, with a woman named Moran.
Yes.
I asked her if she might have had any insight as to, or if she might have had anything to do with why you left the clan the way you did all those years ago.
Baku sort of like, whew, lets out a breath, like, I
Cartoonishly
doubt
tugging at
it,
their
but
collar.
What did she say?
She said, well, in the first case, she's told me that she was the one that got you into that human school of magic-y things in Neverwinter. And she kind of like, she keeps looking at you, like looking to gauge your reaction to everything she says, like she's looking for something.
Yeah, Baku's like kind of surprised, like, oh yeah, that's right, she did mention that. That makes sense. Like,
And she said, but she made it clear that that was not the reason that you left the clan.
Baku's like, no, that would not be the reason.
She continues, she says that you left the clan because you weren't comfortable with our way of life anymore.
Oh, this is gonna be this conversation. Okay. Yeah. Baku sort of like, sighs and looks at their mother and is like, since I've been away, a lot has happened. I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, and you will always be my family, but I feel like going back feels somehow strange and not exactly what I want anymore.
She says, is what she said true? Are you not comfortable with the way of life the clan provides you?
It's not that. I feel that I make others uncomfortable. You know, Mother, I've never fit in with the others.
She says, you also have you've never taken very much to many of the rituals that we hold sacred, Bakunawa. You must admit to that. You never liked it when we sacrificed people to Tiamat. You never liked the war games.
That is true. I never did like those.
Even if we had, even if we were magic users, I have a feeling that it would have ended the same way, that you would have left, because you are not like the rest of us.
Baku, nods their head, this is true, I am not like the rest of you. And while I was in hell, I was able to meet. So Baku, relates that, they met Bahamut, and, I know that this is probably something that you don't want to hear, Mother, but I feel more connected to Bahamut than I ever did to Tiamat.
She folds her arms over her chest. You can tell that, her natural inclination is to be defensive, but, after having spoken with Moran, she's doing her best to be understanding for the first time probably in her entire life.
Right. Baku's like, wow, this is brand new.
Your mother is... you have been in hell. You have seen the worst kind of evil. You've seen evil that has been born out of lust for power, evil that's been born out of spite, evil that's been born out of genuine hatred for life. And your mother, your clan isn't like that. They aren't the type of evil that likes it for the sake of itself. They don't like evil to be evil. They like evil. They are the banal kind of evil, the inherited kind of evil. They are this way because that is how things have always been, and they've never really thought to give it much more introspection than that.
Yeah, not much thought.
Yes. And she says, well, these things don't just change overnight, Bakunawa. She pauses and then she continues, but I suppose, if you ever wanted to feel comfortable enough to come and visit, I suppose we could talk to the elders and get them to stop the blood sport and the war games and the sacrifices for long enough to make you feel comfortable enough to visit your family.
Baku is trying not to smile and then sort of gives up and just hugs their mom.
She kind of sighs and pats you on the back and she says, yes, yes, yes. Don't be so sentimental, Bakunawa.
Baku's sorry, it's the human influence.
Yes, I can tell.
Okay.
She says, I should go back to my clan now. I imagine that I'll have a lot to discuss with the other matriarchs.
I imagine you do. Say hello to my brothers. Except for Rugen, I'm still angry at him.
She says, I'll make sure that he knows that. She says, good luck going to wherever this place is. Sounds terrible, but, have fun.
Baku's spiders.
And try not to let the world end. That seems important.
That is our goal.
She kind of pats you with a rare sort of affection on the cheek, Baku. And then she grabs a bag that she'd left by the door the night before, and she heads out.
So Baku like returns to everyone else and is kind of like, buzzing and grinning, which is very weird. They don't normally have this much expression on their face.
Asher's like, "What's wrong with your face?"
Baku's like, "What do you mean? Are you insulting me? Is that racist? Are you being racist right now?"
I've just never seen your face like that.
And Baku has like no idea what their face is doing right now. And like Baku's like looking around at like Ember and like Vasha, like, "What's wrong with my face? What's he talking about?"
You're doing that like smiley thing.
Baku's like,
"Is that what that is? I've never seen Baku smile."
Yeah,
Baku's like, "Smiling? Oh yeah, that's that thing that you guys do." Whoa.
yeah,
It's upsetting.
that's
You
what that
should
feels
stop.
like.
Baku's like, "That's weird. I haven't done that before."
I agree with Baku. It is weird. Stop.
And then Baku's like, "Yes," and like immediately stops. Like, "Yes, that feels weird."
All right. So the whole castle starts buzzing with activity because they've got to pack up not just, the traveling supplies to get a whole bunch of people comfortably to Barovia, but they also have to pack up, long-term things because, you can't stay in the estate anymore. It's not safe. And Mother Tremaine is busying herself paying out the last of the salaries to all the remaining servants. That's the best she can do. And she gives them all bonuses as much as she's able, and she wishes them all the best of luck, and she's tending to those duties. You have about a day before anything starts unfolding. Is there anything anyone would like to talk about, Vasha? Anyone that would like to address
about
something, Vasha?
Anyone, Vasha?
Anyone, Vasha? Just anything? Not pointing any fingers, Vasha, just wondering.
This is funny. Out of character.
Let me rephrase it as a question. When things finally die down, when the goddess is gone from the dining room table, where is the first place that Vasha goes when they have the chance to be alone?
Probably they just retreat into a little grove in the woods. I mean, they do what they do best, is just run away from things.
Yeah, that's true. Not a very healthy way to handle problems.
Nope.
Nope.
Not even remotely.
What do they do the moment they have the space to emote and to process what happened?
I think they spend as much time as they can spare away from everybody, just like kind of beating themselves up about all of this. A lot of time, thinking about, well, where do I get off, making those decisions, where
Like, are you pacing like back and forth, muttering to trees? Because I would like that.
Arguing with trees.
Right, exactly.
It's probably kind of similar to the scene that I had with Baku, where I was just like, throwing knives at trees right after.
Oh
the
yeah, that's
Dagon
right.
thing,
I remember
but,
that. Yeah.
Then I feel nauseous and just kind of look at the knives and just throw them away. I don't know.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to go into too much detail because, the strength of roleplay comes from interaction. I just wanted a general idea of...
Yeah, probably just running away and staying up and not, like, resting for the evening.
All right.
Because I figure that's probably the best time when they actually get a chance to not be there,
Things come together pretty quickly because they have to. You have to take 2 carriages because there's just so much that you have to have with you. There's Moran can fly. She can fly with Mordenkainen on her back, but that still leaves Mother Tremaine, Davin, Vander Skane is sent on his way. Just kind of like just go back to Neverwinter and pretend nothing happened. And then there's the whole party, of course, and now the new Dabu that's with you, who just always is perpetually just hovering just a couple inches off the ground.
Freaky.
The party is lumped into one carriage, and Mother Tremaine and Davin and the rest in the other carriage. They're each stacked high with general supplies. I didn't have anything particular in mind that I wanted to have with you. I was figuring, just long-term supplies, like lots of sleeping rolls and like bed frames that you could disassemble, like stuff like that. Like things to make. Yes, things to make a space that might perhaps be a little derelict and decrepit a little more livable.
A lot of food.
Yeah, lots of food, lots of water, probably some skins of wine and stuff to make your trip bearable. Does anyone have any special requests for stuff they want to bring?
Ember's gonna bring like multiple suits of armor, but he's gonna have to ask somebody else to do it.
It's like somebody else to carry it.
That's just like,
So
oh
he
my
asks
god.
Baku.
All right, Baku, a very tiny, skinny Ember comes up to you. He's like, "Can you please put my suits of armor in the carriage?"
He's like panting. He's like Baku. I tried to pick this up, and it didn't. Did you
Baku's
please
like,
just do
why did you try to pick it up? Like, what?
It was fine.
Okay, do you really want to bring all of this, really?
Yes.
Okay,
Please
I'll help
just
you
let
then.
me do it.
Baku's just like, shrug. Okay, if you want it, I'll try to help you with it then.
Ember's like very bright red. He looks like incredibly ashamed, but he'd rather ask you than ask Escher.
Escher's in the background like, "Oh my god!"
Baku's like, don't worry, I'll tell him later.
I mean, won't tell him? I mean, whatever you would want to hear. So you do eventually set out 2 huge carriages full of equipment and everything that you could think to bring. Your mother sort of bids a tearful goodbye to the head of your household staff, to the butler, and she wishes you well on your way. And you start the long road out back to Barovia, a place that you never thought you would have to go to ever again. And the ride is a little quiet, especially in your carriage. Who wants to be driving? Who wants to be steering the horses for this carriage?
I can do the thing.
Yep.
Interesting choice of volunteer. It's almost like Vash is trying to avoid sitting with everyone else. Interesting.
Right, weird.
Very strange. And in that spirit, you're about a couple hours into your trip, and then Escher is suddenly climbing over and sitting next to you, and leaning back in the chair and staring at you. When you don't say anything, he doesn't say anything either. He just looks forward at the road.
It's real awkward right now.
Yep.
Ember is snoring loudly. Backdrop for this conversation.
Because of course.
That's probably
Of
for
course
the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Escher isn't going to speak unless you do.
I don't have any defense, Escher.
Escher says, no, that's fine. You don't have to have a defense. I'm not accusing you of anything.
I'm just sitting here staring at you. No accusations.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know when I became this person.
Escher kind of sighs, and it's not a sigh that imparts disappointment. It's more of a sigh of, it almost sounds like impatience. And he says, "Do you know what the most important thing about this whole mess is, Vasha?
What?
The fact that you recognize it and that you feel bad. I would have been much more worried if you had been in denial about the points that Varain made. If you had tried to talk yourself out of it. If you had said, no, I'm justified with everything that I've done. Because no one is ever always justified with everything they do. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone fucks up. Everyone makes mistakes. Especially a stupid fucking teenager, Vasha. Like, you understand that, right? No, fuck you, Vasha. You're a teenager. It's okay that you don't have a firm moral compass yet. You're allowed to fuck up. You're allowed to make mistakes. The important part is that you don't that you never accept anything less than the best version of yourself, and that you always try to improve, and that you never become cocky enough to think you have the answers.
Yeah. I just how do you deal with this kind of feeling? I mean, I don't know what to do from here.
That's good. The fact that it hurts means that you're learning something. He says, as to how you deal with it, it's not dissimilar to how I dealt with it once I became mortal again. He says, you have to confront what you've done, acknowledge that it was wrong, and then be willing to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to fucking suck. It's going to suck a lot. But if it doesn't hurt, then it won't mean anything.
Yeah.
He says,
Okay.
try to learn compassion from this if you can. Try to become a better version of yourself. That's all you can do. You can't change the past. At least not without having your strength drop to -3. He kind of ruffles your hair. And it's weird because, like, Escher looks younger than you physically. And you are chronologically older than Escher. But he is definitely, like, the elder in this relationship psychologically.
Yeah. No, it's true.
While you're doing this, I want like Baku to like put a rabbit on top of Ember's face while he's sleeping.
Meanwhile, in the back of the carriage, shenanigans are ensuing.
Right? Like they just want to see what's gonna happen to it.
You like can't breathe anymore.
And meanwhile, the
Like,
rabbit's
Ember,
like,
are you alive?
there's like a warm
Turns out he's
ventilator.
actually allergic to rabbits. Actually, no, I'm gonna admit that he's absolutely allergic to rabbits. He wakes up and his
Oh
eyes are too big.
He wakes up and what?
His eye is swollen shut because it's 8 sizes too big.
no. Oh no.
Baku lifts up the rabbit and is like, "Oh dear."
Oops.
And Marley's like, he can't talk because part of his like mouth is swollen. She's like, what's going on? What? Why can't I?
Baku is like, "You never told me you were allergic to rabbits. That would have been helpful information."
I didn't know I was allergic to rabbits.
Oh.
He's like clawing at his face to get it off.
Baku like picks it up and puts it back. It's like, "I'm Peter. It's not your fault."
Escher in the front is like, relax, you're fine, and like slaps you with the heal spell. Like, stop whining.
Yeah. Baku's like, "Your boyfriend can heal you. It's okay. It's fine." I mean, fiance. Sorry.
Stopping whining is never gonna happen. It's Ember.
And we're like injured and insulted and goes back to sleeping.
This isn't a justification, but I've been so afraid for everyone, and I don't want to lose anyone else.
He says, well, that's a justifiable fear. Or, not justifiable, but understandable. I just think you've kind of confused in your head the process of protecting those you love and killing things that you perceive as a threat. They don't always overlap.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that.
He says, it's fine. You understand it. You understand yourself a little better now. You can come to terms with what you've done and try to be more conscientious and empathetic from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's I don't know. I feel like such an idiot for not being able to.
You're a teenager, Vasha. You're like 17 in elf years. You don't have to have all the answers, and it's stupid that you're beating yourself up for not having them.
Thank you.
He says, yeah, and he kind of ruffles your hair again. Kids these days.
It's not enough of a rat's nest, thanks.
Children's these days.
You know, like, I am actually a couple, like, 100 years older than you.
Yeah, well, try acting like it sometime, babe. All right.
I just lean against Usher and just, like, fine, whatever.
So you make it back to Barovia. How do Ember and Vasha feel about seeing those old decrepit gates of outside the village of Barovia?
Oh, fantastic. Just great.
Ember definitely feels like a sense of dread, like a lot of like bad memories coming back. Ember has mixed feelings because like he also that's where he found Escher. So like
Right, exactly.
yeah, he's like horrified of like he still hates Barovia and it's like it was a lot of bad experiences, but at the same time like he looks at it a little fondly because he wouldn't have met Escher without having been there.
Escher doesn't seem to share those sentiments.
Right,
Yeah,
of
no.
course.
Escher looks
not
like he
even
wants to
remotely.
die the minute he sees the archway. It is worth noting that Barovia does not have the same feeling that it did when you first arrived. It still feels like a cursed land, but now it feels cursed in the sense that this is an old place where terrible things happened, but those terrible things are long gone now, and it's just this unpleasant memory attached to it. It is snowing in Barovia when you arrive, which actually almost makes it look nice. You pass through the village of Barovia, which is mostly abandoned. You see a lot of familiar staples. High up above the village of Barovia, you see the old decrepit Castle Ravenloft looming over it like a specter.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about seeing that again, but you know,
It
is.
The village of Barovia, at least, looks mostly unoccupied. There aren't a lot of shuttered windows. Like there are doors that are just open and swinging in the wind. Places that have just been wholesale abandoned. And you wind your way down the old Svalich road. Eventually, Castle Ravenloft fades from view, and you at last find the village of Vallaki about a day and a half later. Is there anything anyone wants to talk about before we get back to the capital P plot?
I guess how many days has it been at this point?
It's been a couple days, but unfortunately, your STR hasn't gone up that much because it explicitly states that like you can't be doing anything more physically taxing than like resting all day. And
Right,
traveling
which-
is
traveling, yeah.
traveling even if you're just reclined, you know, it's still pretty taxing. Your base STR score has now gone up to 4 by the time that you arrive.
4. Great. Okay.
At Vallaki.
4.
Yep.
Okay. I think Ember's just wiped out. So he's not having a lot of conversations. He's just sleeping a lot and whining mostly. And now he's also staying really far away from the rabbits.
Baku's like, I said I'm sorry.
The closer that you get to Barovia, the more like when you first left, Escher was like kind of like just like, oh god, he'll get over it, like he'll recover eventually. But the closer you get to Barovia, the more invested Escher seems in trying to make you feel better. Because if you don't feel good, then he's not 100% sure he's going to be able to stomach being in this place again.
Oh god.
Oh.
No.
So he's at your side and
no.
patting your hair and reassuring you.
I think Ember, after like the like second day, he is still pretty slow. He senses like he's starting to get like why he's doing this, and so he's like trying really. He like bucks up a little. He's trying really hard to like put on like a good face, and he's like, "Hey, look, that's where we met. Are we getting close to where we met Mordenkainen?"
You met Mordenkainen in the mountain, the foothills of Mount Bartok. I don't remember.
That's
Yeah.
behind. So I guess we wouldn't see that.
It's nearby. Like he was trapped in these forests for quite a while.
Did we pass the place with the night hag?
The old bone grinder? Yes, you actually do. You do pass the bone grinder, yes.
Awesome. I think Ember regales everyone with the story much better about
Don't you still have those pastries?
Yes.
Of course he does.
Also, I have all of the elixirs that I got from them.
Oh my god.
Gross.
He like brings them out and also brings out the pasty and is like showing it to people.
Ugh, I slap it out of his hand.
No.
Baku's
Onto the-
like,
it's
"Oh,
in the
gross."
dirt now. It's in the dirt
Oh
now.
no, it's gone! Look, your carriage is getting away! Oh no, it's out of... You don't have the pasty anymore.
God damn it. I'm really mad about this. I'm deleting it, but I'm cranky about it. Oh, he's so
It was
sad.
like so moldy.
Baku was just like, ew, why did you take that?
At the time, it seemed like a good idea.
It was never a good idea.
It's always a good idea. What are you talking about?
So as you are all swapping stories about your time in Barovia, Escher, he tries to chime in with a story of his own. He's like, so I was actually born in Vallaki. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I lived there for the first, how old was I when I was turned into a vampire? I think 22?
In Vallaki? Ember's like perking up. He looks like very. She's like, did they have crazy festivals then?
Oh yeah, that was yeah. That's been a staple of Vallaki, or specifically the ruling family, the Valakoviches, for time immemorial. Yes, it never worked, but they constantly did it anyway.
Ember's like super, like he's looking up, he's like, this, I always wanted to know, what were the we didn't stick around long enough. We did piss off the, I know it's unexpected, but we pissed off
Burgermaster.
The Burgermaster. Yes.
He says, well, that's not a difficult thing to do. The Valakoviches have always been pretty foul-tempered, especially the Burgomasters.
I thought his wife was lovely.
He says, well, I missed the last generation of the Valakoviches because, I was trapped in a castle and, being held against my will for 50 years.
Yes,
So
that's fair. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Vallaki when you were a small child. Was it fun?
No.
It's still Barovia, honey.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some good parts of it, When I was a kid, we used to race through the woods all the time. Me and what other few children that there were. And, the ones that had souls. The ones that didn't have souls were kind of party poopers. But, there were a couple kids that were nice. I mean, I can't speak that badly of it. That's where I met my fiance. The first one.
I did know about this, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
he
you
briefly mentioned it to you, yes.
That's fair. I think Ember looks at him and he goes, what was he like?
He was a lot like you. Different,
Yes, you have a type.
Yeah, I do. And he's rubbing his chin like self reflection. Like, yeah, I really do have a type. I like the large muscly type with a cause, with a capital C cause.
With a capital C cause.
Yeah. For him, he was really intent on leading the resistance to kill Strahd, and it sort of backfired horribly on him. It was good intentions.
This feels like maybe I thought it was going to be a cheerful subject, and I'm less of a cheerful subject than I was intending. How about your parents?
It's all right. They're on balance, all memories from my childhood. Most of them are kind of bad.
That's fair. How are your parents? Did you like your parents?
Oh no, they both died when I was
alive?
really.
God,
they
never mind.
both died.
Okay, never mind. We're gonna stop talking about your past.
Baku's just watching them back and forth, wishing that they had tea.
Yeah, this is a fun fact about me. I actually made my money as a con artist. Yep.
As what? Sorry, I glitched.
As a con artist.
Wait, Ember looks delighted.
Baku looks appalled, oh, what?
How dare you?
Wait, as a con artist?
It's oh yeah. I it was the usual snake oil salesman. I would find bones and pieces of dead animal in the woods, and then I would turn around and sell it as some miracle cure because people are dumb and they'll buy anything if they're desperate enough.
Baku's what if they died?
That wasn't really my concern back then.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I have more of a moral compass now. But back then, I was borderline penniless, and I was just doing whatever I could to survive. I had a really bad childhood. I don't know if I made that clear.
Ember puts his arm around
Baku's
and he goes, Lathander understands the needs of the poor. All that matters is that now you are safe, and you are amongst the holy.
I don't know, I mean, I think if Lathander could have judged me back then, he would have found me capital W wanting. I can show you my childhood home. Actually, it might be a good place to hole up.
That sounds excellent. That sounds great. How big is it?
Well, it's an orphanage, so it's quite large.
Oh.
Oh, that could work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe.
So not like a cottage.
Oh, no, there are no cottages in Barovia. There's nothing quaint in Barovia. Nothing soft ever grows in Barovia.
Ember looks sad. He's like, I suppose we could stay at the sad orphanage. That sounds fun. I really can't move for a couple days, so it doesn't really matter.
So yeah, once you get... I never thought I'd have to bust out the descriptions again, but I can read the official Wizards of the Coast description of the town of Vallaki.
Yay!
The old Svalich road meanders into a valley watched over by dark, brooding mountains to the north and south. The woods recede, revealing a sullen mountain burg surrounded by a wooden palisade. The thick fog presses up against the wall. There's no fog anymore, actually. The dirt road ends at a set of sturdy iron gates, now open, no shadowy figures on them. Planted in the ground and flanking the road outside the gates are a half dozen pikes with rotting wolves' heads impaled upon them. And actually,
Are
they're
they
probably
still impaled, or they probably rotted all the way off?
they're probably just now just sort of balancing on them, like they're skeletonized by this point.
Yeah, it's just a skull.
Yeah, so the gate, like I have to edit it because it's been, quite a long time. The city has been abandoned. But yeah, the gates are standing open and you guide your way inside. And like the village of Barovia, the village of Vallaki is also largely abandoned. And Escher gives you directions, Vasha, of which street to go down, which way to turn. And he guides you to, it is actually quite a large building, one of the larger buildings in the city. There is a rusting sign hanging outside of it. It is half falling off by now, actually, probably. And it says, Lights Hope Orphanage.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of an ironic name, but
A little bit.
yeah, it's a little...
I think Ember
Oh,
looks
yes.
like stricken. Like he like looks at the orphanage and he looks at Escher and he like puts his arm around him and he's like, "We're gonna have a very nice house together."
It's just like, it's really fun. Like, it was like over 50 years ago. Like, I've moved on. And he climbs out of the back and he says, all right, let's unpack. Let's get everything inside.
It has just hit Ember and also Amber that Escher is a lot older than he is.
Yeah. Ember's pretty much cradle robbing.
Oh dear God.
Opposite.
Well, we like to. There's a pattern of it.
Esther's cradle robbing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Names.
There's a group pattern. It's fine.
Yeah.
At least they're both like, they're both adults. So it's fine.
Ember swings down and he goes to like automatically, like out of just a habit, he goes to like pick something super heavy off the top of the carriage.
And
Just don't. I like smack his hand.
Yeah, Baku's like, oh.
I just like the image of Ember, default trying to pick up a big crate and then falling forward.
He looks at it and there's just like this moment of just like fury and like sadness, and then he just like
Escher puts a hand in your hair and is like, you are going to recover, you over-dramatic... It's fine. And then he picks up the thing you were trying to pick up. And he walks into the orphanage.
I don't even say anything, he says, and he sulks and he like pouts into I think he picks up like a pillow and he just like walks.
A stack of pillows, finally, something that Ember can carry.
Nice.
So, Light's Hope Orphanage is neither full of light nor hope.
Yeah, really?
Shocking.
Yeah, most of the windows are broken. It's quite drafty. But Escher finds like some tarps that you brought with you, and he he kind of nails them over the windows to keep the worst of the draft out. The broken windows to keep the worst of the draft out. There is a fireplace that is still functional, and you get a fire going. You make some dinner as well with that fire. It's just some simple soup. It's not much, but it's good. It's hearty. It's fine. Escher is having like a weird sort of out of body experience, like remembering all of the places, and it's like he approaches it like, oh, I remember this place. This is the place where I was beaten within an inch of my life by the horrible schoolmarm, and like these horrible things
my
that happened
God.
to him, and just recalling them with like almost something like glee, like, oh yeah, and this is the part where I was, where those horrible bullies almost broke my teeth. Yeah, I
Oh
remember
my
that.
God.
Honey.
Ember is looking more and more horrified, and he's like trying to distract him.
No,
I feel like
Escher's having a grand old time of it. And Moran comes in, and she's got because she is actually a dragon, and her strength score is like +5. She has an enormous, it's bigger than she is in her human form, crate of magical miscellany. And she goes like, all right, well, is there a basement or something where that might be the safest place to set up and do big magic? And Escher's like, oh yeah, this way. And he shows her down, and everything gets set up. So you have a couple days where you make this particular orphanage feel a little, it's not homey, but it's homier.
Right.
It's
livable.
you can actually, it feels more comfortable. Is there anything you want to do in the interim? Like, you were retrospecting so much about the places in Barovia. There might theoretically be places you want to go, though I wouldn't want to, steer your characters or anything. It's up to you.
So Ember
Baku
is
just wants to
100%
tell Ember, like, oh, my mom is so strong. Look at her lifting that thing.
Ember hears that and he just looks at you, and then you just see like a single tear rolls down his face.
That really dramatic music, what is it like? Do, 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 do.
Really sad, like, violin music, and like gets really kind of like, no, it's okay, don't cry.
He like doesn't even respond. He just like he had like gotten up to look at you, and he just like that single tear, and then he just goes and lies back down in like the fetal position.
Baku's like, oh dear, this is worse than I thought.
Escher smacks you upside the head, Baku. Like, really?
He's like, yeah, I deserve that, sorry.
I just got him to stop whining.
I think the whole thing is I have to have bed. Basically, I just need to be in bed rest, right? Like I literally can't do anything if I want to get back to normal.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
Okay, I think Ember has now finally realized that, and he's just like, he's not talking. He's just literally lying in bed. He's very cranky and sulky about it, but
Baku's like, if we go out, you have to protect me from the spiders, though, Ember. I can't deal with spiders.
I can't even pick up a spider right now, Baku.
But you could smash it with your hammer.
I can't pick up my hammer. Stop reminding me.
I can help you pick it up so you can smash it with a hammer.
Then you should just use my hammer. Don't
Ember's
use my
like, the
hammer.
spiders are in Argynvostholt. It's like a day's ride southwest of here. We're fine.
Okay, that's good to know. Then we don't need to go anywhere. Unless you want to, anybody.
So I think Ember's like sulky still, and he's like, if you all just want to go somewhere without me and do whatever needs to be done, that's fine. I will just.
Escher
stay
smacks you upside the head.
here. Ow! That hurts so badly.
Babe, you're gonna be
strong.
fine. Look at
not
me.
fine.
Look at me. The effects of the wish spell only last for about 5 days. Please just
It's
calm
already
down.
been 3 days, and I don't feel any different.
We've been 3 days of traveling. You need to actually rest. Escher like forces you down onto the cot and brings you soup. Like, eat soup, drink tea, chill out.
Shut up and eat.
I will do all of those things, but no one says I have to be cheerful about it. And he just like starts. doing that.
Oh my god.
Anyways, so you guys totally have Ember's permission to go do whatever you want to do, but he's just gonna sit.
I don't know if there's anywhere Basha wants to go, but Baku like has literally never been here. So.
I can't remember. Hang on. Let me actually. Hang on. Let me just. Did you guys. The Bones of St. Andral, was that with your campaign or was that with the other campaign?
I think that was both.
Did you
Oh, no,
guys do
wait,
the Bones of
wait.
St. Andral?
I'm pretty sure we heard
No,
about.
we found the mace, I think, but we didn't.
The mace was in Castle Ravenloft.
Yeah.
The Bones of St. Andral, that was a thing in Vallaki. It was like a little side quest.
I don't.
I can't remember if it was you guys.
We heard about it, but we didn't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm nearly positive we didn't do it.
I'm relatively sure we didn't.
Because I'm looking over the description of the Bones of St. Andral, and like,
Uh-oh.
like, I mean, Vallaki is almost completely abandoned now, but as you recall, the priest of the Church of the St. Andral locked his vampire son in the basement.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
And
remember how we just let that happen and didn't do anything about it.
yeah, that was pretty much, yeah, and he might still be there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because he was just like in that pit. We didn't do anything about that.
Yeah, you didn't do anything. He was,
didn't.
that was his name, Father Lucian Petrovich. He locked his son, what's his name?
The son's name was. Actually, I don't know. I didn't write the son's name down. I did find my notes. My notes are: the priest is very affable, but seems worried. Oh yeah, that's when Strahd attacked us the first time, and there were all those wolves.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, the memories.
I have Vasha as a wolf killing machine written down, so it's like, you know, a little.
Was it Barovia that we burned the church down? Where did we burn the church?
Yes, that was you. That was you and Callista.
Was that just me?
I might keep this in. Just not not gonna lie.
I was like,
Like, I want this to serve as like an advertisement for like if anyone who's listening, if you haven't played Curse of Strahd, you should. It's a good campaign.
I did. Yeah.
Your characters can make questionable decisions, like burning down a church.
Oh, there's more things you can
paladin of
do.
Lathander burning down a church.
I didn't want to, but we didn't have a lot of options.
Wait, yeah, that's right. You did burn down this Church of Saint Andral, didn't you?
I think
That wasn't in Barovia.
Yeah.
That was in Vallaki.
I thought so. I thought we burned down the church in Lucky.
For anyone who's listening, I have DM'd 2 Curse of Strahd campaigns, which is why there's some confusion.
And Val has been in both of them.
Yeah,
so
Val was in both of them. So
And Kay has been in neither of them, so she's
Yeah.
confused. She and
at
Baku
some
are both
point, Kay, actually, when I do move up, if I ever do move up to Portland, I might start a new D&D campaign with Curse of Strahd just so you can play it.
confused. Okay.
I fucking love this campaign. It's so good. I want to play it again. It's so good. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, I think that was St. Andral's church that you burned down.
I'm pretty sure we burned down the church.
Yeah, I think that was the St. Andral's church that you burned down. So the vampire isn't trapped there anymore.
The person there. Oh, man.
He burned to death. Good job.
Well, we put him out of his misery. Let's not tell Escher about this.
Yeah.
We're definitely not telling Escher about this. Okay.
No.
Anyways, like I said, I'm not making decisions right now. My decision is to sit in
Yeah,
bed.
no, that was the church. That's the church we set on fire. Yep.
Yeah, because there were 3 vampire spawn that attacked, and you
Yep.
locked them inside and burned it down. Yeah, I remember.
Yep. Well, they locked them inside and burned them down. I had nothing to do with it.
This is what you tell yourself.
No, I did not have anything to do with it.
You agreed to the plan. I don't want to hear this nonsense.
Excuse me.
You 100% agreed to the plan.
I like imagining that this is definitely happening. I see.
Yeah,
yes,
in character,
this
and they're
is.
just yelling, and Baku's like, what?
Escher's like, did you guys burn down the Church of Saint Andral?
We had to. Situations called for it. We were gonna die otherwise.
And Escher puts a hand to his chest and he says, "That was the place Milovich proposed to me."
Ember gives him a dirty look.
And then Ember's like, "I'm totally fucking with you. I don't give a fuck about that church."
Well,
Basha
good.
smacks
We
him.
burned it to the ground. Along with some other vampires, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyways, where are you guys going?
I mean, we don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere if you don't want to. And it might be good to have. Maybe we can fashion something like a wheelchair to take Ember around.
Oh no!
So we
Oh,
can
no.
we can get you out of the house.
Yes.
Okay, wait. This is only happening if Tessa agrees that it's not going to penalize the amount of time that it takes me to recover.
Well, yeah, I can agree to that. If you're sitting down, you're still resting. Just
we go.
so doing like walking around Vallaki would be too taxing
Yeah.
to rest. But if you're in the equivalent of a wheelchair, then yeah, that'd be fine.
God, are you going to wheel me around fucking Vallaki?
Hey! That's where I killed all those wolves. Remember those really, really awful wolves that
Yes.
Strahd was controlling?
It was great. I'm very tired.
Hang on, let me bust open. So the only
Are there any shops or anything that we could go into?
yeah, there are a couple shops in Vallaki. Let me hang on.
Yeah, Baku's like looking for like nerdy places like
Most-
temples or ancient ruins. Or...
Most of the chapter on Vallaki is dedicated to the Valakoviches, the mansion of the burgomaster. There's also the stockyard, which is where you first met oh god, come on, the vampire hunter, Rickton, Rudolph and Rickton.
Oh,
Oh yeah, Rictavio.
Rictavio! Oh, the coffee maker shop is in Vallaki. I thought that was in Barovia. Oh, the toy maker shop is in Vallaki too!
I
Yeah,
don't think we actually went there.
we did not.
You
It's
went there in
super
the other
creepy.
Blinsky's
Let's go.
Toys, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we
Let's
gotta go to Blinsky's Toys.
Let's go to Blinsky's.
I feel like
Okay.
Escher suggests that because Escher remembers Blinsky's Toys, and he's like, "No, you guys have got to fucking see this place. It's unbelievable."
Baku's like, toys?
Escher's like, "No, you'll understand. Come on." So
First, like, I don't have a choice, so I guess we're going.
Mama Tremaine makes a wheelchair for you with the omnibus Ember.
Aw.
It's not much, but it'll get you around. So you Escher as helpfully guides you through the city. I'm just going to read off the description of the town square where you have to pass through it. And I'm gonna try to I'm editing this in real time for everything that's changed. The shops and homes that enclose the town square are decorated with limp, tattered garlands are probably rotting at this point. And painted wooden boxes filled with tiny dead flowers. At the north end of the square stands a row of stocks, locked, in which are several, probably not men and women and children anymore, they're probably skeletons at this point, wearing crude plaster donkey heads. In the center of the square, no, there are no peasants in patchwork that are eyeing you suspiciously. There's a fountain that looks like it has run dry several years ago. Standing tall at the center of the fountain is a gray statue of an impressive man facing west. Around the square are posted proclamations. They read, "Come one, come all, to the greatest celebration of the year, the Wolf's Head Jamboree. Attendants and children required. Pikes will be provided. All will be well. Signed, the Baron."
Oh boy.
Oh god, this is such a trip. Sorry, I'm just literally just reading the campaign again, god. And then Escher guides you past all that to Blinsky's Toys. This cramped shop has a dark entrance portico, above which hangs a wooden sign shaped like a rocking horse, with a B engraved on both sides. Flanking the entrance are two arched, lead-framed windows. Through the dirty glass, you see jumbled displays of toys and hanging placards bearing this slogan, "Is no fun, is no Blinsky!" Oh god, Gadolf Blinsky. He's dead now, probably. Or at least not in Barovia anymore.
Can't say I blame him.
He probably left. But god, you go into the shop and it is, so it's dark and it's covered in dust. You open up one of the windows to let some of the light in, and I have to read off this list. This list is everything. This list,
horrible.
a list of things that you find in the shelves. A headless doll that comes with a sack of attachable heads, including one with its eyes and mouth stitched shut.
Ah!
A miniature gallows, complete with a trap door and weighted hanged man. A set of wooden nesting dolls. The smaller each one gets, the older it gets, until the innermost doll is a mummified corpse.
Oh god.
A wooden string mobile of hanging bats with flapping wings. Escher's like, oh, we should get that for Ander!
No. Absolutely not.
A wind-up merry-go-round with figures of snarling wolves chasing children in place of prancing horses.
Oh god.
A ventriloquist's dummy that looks like Strahd von Zarovich!
I burned that fucker.
No, Escher wants it. And
Really?
yeah, and finally,
Really?
a doll that looks remarkably like Irina Kolyana. Did you guys ever meet Irina Kolyana in?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you were in Barovia. Yeah, you met Irina
Yeah.
Kolyana.
Yeah.
But no, Vashi, you're like, oh my god, that fucking marionette. You go to burn it, and Escher's like, no, I want it. Give it to me.
Why?
It's a doll that looks like my rapist. I want to do horrible things to it.
Umber looks
Like,
around
burn
all
it?
of
We burn it, please?
No, give it to me.
Let him have his closure, his fun, whatever. Just let him have it.
Hey, I give it to him.
He's like, Amber's like looking at you, so just give it the doll to him. Give it to him.
Nope.
He takes the dummy. I'm gonna put that in his profile that he has that.
His items.
I'm gonna find a use for that.
Oh my
don't.
God.
Dear
Like, Ember's looking around all this and he looks like horrified and like all like, this is so great. This is
Escher's like, Escher's
Yeah.
on the floor and he's like fucking with the doll, like he's pulling open the back, trying to look into it. He's like, listen, when I was a kid, this place was the jam. Like this was the shit when I was a kid.
okay, but can we agree that as adults, perhaps
It
this
is still pretty horrible.
disconcerting and not something we should bring back for the baby?
I still think we should get him the mobile of the bats.
Okay, yeah, fine, we can get him the mobile. But not the doll with the multiple heads. That thing is staying.
Hey Tessa, was it Vasha that had the vision of the hanged man with their face, or was that
I think that was Vasha. It was in the campaign you have to like roll a d4 or however many player characters there are and pick one at random, and I think it was Vasha.
I think so.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was freaky. So I probably went a little pale when I saw the little
Oh
gallows.
no, the toy. Oh
gallows
no.
toy.
Baku's like, is this what humans play with? This is terrifying.
Yeah, no, this is not normal.
Escher's like, this is what humans played with in Barovia, and he's like ripping the stuffing out of the dummy.
glad we could come here and have this therapy session.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about therapy. I'm just, repurposing this.
Ember's like really uncomfortable, but he can't do anything.
Right, we're all just standing around watching Escher like, okay.
Like looking at Escher being like, okay. Hey babe, could you wheel me over or Baku? Someone.
You can wheel yourself, Asher's like, doing.
I cannot wheel myself.
Oh my god, yes you can.
You have arms.
I think
They
I
still
tried.
work.
I try dramatically and I do not do it.
Guess you'll just have to
Wait,
stay here and
can I
starve.
Can I roll an athletics check?
No, oh my god.
Sorry, I've literally been just rereading the campaign. Everything in Vallaki is so good. What was that?
I'm just gonna roll an athletics check to see if I can roll my own wheelchair.
You can roll your own wheelchair. You don't need to roll
You
athletics.
can.
No,
Come on.
what if I get a nat 1?
A
You
7
rolled
is
anyway.
fine. Like, the DC would be easy, which is 5.
There we go. You did it. Good job.
You did it. Congratulations.
Okay, well, he definitely can do it, but he's not going to.
Out of spite.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Escher hands, once he's done pulling all the stuffing out of the ventriloquist dummy, he goes and he gives you the mobile of the bats. And he says, we can put it over Andrew's crib.
It'll be lovely. It's so great, babe. And he puts it in his lap and it's just like
It's like,
staring at everyone uncomfortably.
Escher seems to be having a grand old time looking around this store. It has awakened his terrible, terrible inner child.
Ember is at least slightly happy that Escher's having. He's like at least he's doing this and not like dwelling on his terrible rape.
Oh, no. You've got to
No more baby.
You've got to stop posting pictures of dogs in chat while we're trying to do a campaign.
Stop! It's distracting.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to free up some space on my hard drive because I have like 6 gigabytes left.
Oh no.
You need a new pooter.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
Baku's just kind of like staring at everything like this is all terrifying, so they're like not moving. Just gonna stay here.
Wait, did Baku? Come on, I feel like Baku had horrifying toys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
As
That
a
is.
Dragonborn with the Tiamat worship.
Yeah, like evil dragons. Like, come on, Baku. Like, this can't be that much different.
Baku's like, yeah, that's probably why I'm so uncomfortable.
Like,
Yeah.
Ember's like seeing him, and he's like, or seeing Baku, and he's like, "Hey, Baku, what kind of toys did you have as a kid?"
Ugh.
Baku's like the kind of toys that I was given or the ones that I enjoyed playing with.
Both.
Let's see, the kind of toys that I was given. Human skulls from sacrifices.
Ah.
With or without the jaws, Escher asks.
Is that
Baku's
really
like-
important?
I think it is. Baku, was it with or without the jaws?
It depends on the particulars around the sacrifice.
Conspiratorially,
Pay
Escher's
attention.
like, human skulls aren't any fun without the jaws. If you can't make them talk, what's the point? Am I right?
Baku's like, yeah, see, this is what I was supposed to play with them like that, but I didn't like them.
Ember's looking horrified between the two of you, and he's like muttering under his breath. He's like, "This isn't the conversation I wanted to start."
Eventually, is there anything else you want to look around at in Vallaki? Maybe see the wreckage of the church you burned down?
Yeah,
let's look
sure.
around and see.
We should
It's
go look at the wreckage of the church.
it's kind of a terrible, terrible trip down memory lane. Seeing that old burned down church, you think you can actually spot a couple charred bones, perhaps from the vampires that were trapped inside.
Let's hope it was vampires.
It's the only thing that makes sense, but you never know. Everything in Barovia is terrible, so.
This is true.
You do a big loop around the city. It is pleasantly cold. It's cold enough to be snowy, but there's not a lot of wind, so it doesn't feel like bone-chilling cold. It's like a pleasant wintry cold. You make it back a little before sundown. Mama Tremaine has got some stew going over the fire. And I would like everyone to make a quick perception roll for me.
Oh no.
Wait, real quick, just like retcon canon. Can I have like a Dr. Scott from like Rocky Horror Picture Show blanket over my legs the entire time?
Absolutely, yes. Like you even have to ask.
You're like, yes, automatically granted.
Escher kind of rolls you up. There's like that one little step between the ground outside and the floor inside. And he kind of bounces you over that little hop. And as you come around the corner inside, Ember, you notice on the bookshelf, which you have just started to refill with various foodstuffs and books, even, and little trinkets and spices and shit. One of the bottles of, or one of the jars of spices that your mother brought with you, it falls off the shelf unprovoked.
Um,
Ember looks at it and he goes, "Did anyone just see that?"
No one else has noticed. Your mother says, "What's that, dear?" As she's stirring the stew.
That jar just fell off the Ember's like he's like trying to repair, but there's nothing he can do, so he's just like sitting up in his wheelchair.
Escher looks over to where
there's
you're
something in the
gesturing.
room.
Escher looks over to where you're gesturing, and he goes over and he picks the bottle of spice up from the ground. This one?
Yes, that one.
He says, "Well, I mean, it's still really drafty in here. It could have been, As he sets it down on the, as he sets it down, he takes 14 points of bludgeoning damage.
what?
And he makes a sound like ah, and falls over.
What the hell just happened?
And she's like, "Oh no! Oh god, that hurt!" And I would like everyone to roll initiative.
Okay.
This is gonna end very badly, my friends.
Oh god.
Well, at least for me.
Okay.
Rolling that one initiative. Jeez.
The initiative has been set.
I think that
Wait,
was your
is the
mother.
Dabu with us?
The Dabu is with you. Yeah, he has always been just like a hovering presence. He will do whatever. Well, he can only obey one command, and it's send the thing to the mazes. But
Right.
that's the only thing that he can do. First up in the order is Escher. Escher is kind of doubled over, like, what the fuck just happened to me? And he doesn't really know what to do. Like, he's looking around and he can't see anything. There doesn't appear to be anything around him. He says, What do I do?"
Get out of there.
Get out of where? We're in a house. Get out of the house?
Does anybody have any spells?
To do what? I don't even know what's happening.
Something is invisible in here. I don't know. Throw a bag of flour at it.
It's just like, you know what? That's not a terrible idea, actually.
It's like, we're in the middle of cooking. I'll throw spices at it.
So Escher reaches to, he uses his turn to rifle through the shelf that, Mother Tremaine had stocked with food and things, and he grabs a little bag of flour, and it's not a lot, like it's, not even a pound of flour. And he kind of turns around behind him to where he felt the damage, and he throws it, and what takes shape is, let me see if I can, this is the shape that is revealed by the flour.
Oh.
It is quite tall, maybe like 7 or 8 feet tall, and it is the flower sort of clings to one side of it, and it makes some sort of strange ethereal hissing noise. That is all Escher can do.
Is there any way we can roll to see if we know what it is?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I spent my time as a monster hunter. Can I roll something to figure out what it is?
Yeah, you sure can. This would be, you can roll either plus nature or plus arcana, I guess. Either of those would be
Plus
fine.
nature, you're hilarious.
What kind of elf are you? What kind of ranger are you?
Anyone else want to roll? Just Vasha?
Okay. I'll try to roll Arcana or something and see if I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm rolling nature because it's better than. Nope, exactly the same.
Oh, Baku's like, well, it's covered in flour, sure is.
No, the 13's not good enough to know what this is. You have no idea.
Okay.
Cool. Next up in the order is Vasha.
Okie dokie.
You can now see it. You can see a thing.
A thing, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use Hunter's Mark, which allows me to mark it as my quarry. So I have advantage on wisdom, perception, or survival checks to find it.
Specifically this one, or
Yeah, I guess specifically this one. Thanks for letting me know there's maybe more.
just
Great.
asking, just casually asking. Okay.
Right, just wondering.
Good. I like that. That's great.
Yep.
What specifically is in front of me? Like, are there other people in front of me, or?
Escher is kind of half in the way of it, but you know, you're an excellent marksman. You could definitely hit it without hitting Escher.
Okay. I grab my bow from where it was by the table and shoot an arrow at it, I guess.
Okie dokie.
Because that's a thing that I do.
It's a thing you can do, that is true.
It's a thing I can do very well.
Does a 31 hit?
Wow. Speaking of very
What is
well.
new high scoring? Yeah, that 31 is hit, roll damage.
Okay. And I'm gonna do the radiant damage as my additional.
Okie dokie.
So it's 1d8 plus that plus the regular, which is
Oh, math.
8 plus, I think the spell gives me something else. I deal an extra 1d6 damage because of Hunter's Mark. Really?
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the
Okay.
dice gods are just not in your favor. Yeah, that's a 2 and a 1 that
Nope.
you rolled.
Oh wow.
Alright, so... How much was that total? It was 60. Okay. Alrighty. That was Vasha's turn, because you cast a spell, which I believe means you can't use multi-attack, correct? I don't actually know how it works for rangers. I think you're actually not allowed to cast a spell and attack at the same turn.
It's a bonus action.
Oh, it's a bonus action then, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Then, I guess you can multi-attack in that case.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let the weird extra knowledge that there might be more in the room slide.
No, don't metagame.
Okay.
I asked that as
slip.
I asked that out of character as the DM. You don't know anything
Right,
like
exactly. Vasha don't know that. It's like, hey, gotta protect friends.
that.
No, but what I mean is like Vasha wouldn't know that there are others. Like I know.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't make a perception check to see if I can find out if there's others. Herp derp.
No, you sure wouldn't.
Nope. So I guess that's all I do on this turn.
All right, next up in the order is Baku. Baku, my sweet dragon child.
Right.
I bet you want to do some magic at it.
Do I want to do magic at it, or do I want to help out my friends, is what I'm wondering here.
I mean, I feel like there's a large overlap between those two things.
Right. Specifically, Baku is very concerned about, you know, their friend in the...
He's fine.
I mean, I still do have like a shit ton of hit points.
That is true.
Yeah, it affected his strength, not his con.
Thank God.
The things could actually just keep hitting me. I just can't hit them back.
I just like the image of like this horrible invisible monster like pummeling Ember, and he's just like, ow, 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 ow. Stop it.
It is gonna like set my recovery back like a lot. So you should think about that. But
Okay, okay, so we can kind of see it because of the flower.
Yes, you can. Normally, if something is invisible, if you try to attack it, you have disadvantage, but now you can see where it is, so you no longer have disadvantage.
But how much of it is covered in the flower?
About half of it. Why?
About half of it. Okay. So,
Mechanically, it's just you can see it now. Like, you know where it is.
yeah, you can see it. But Baku is like wondering, like, is there more of it? Like, is this just the
Don't
arm?
metagame!
Baku is
more
just
of the
very
creature.
suspicious. They're not metagaming. They're just like, holy shit.
It's
They're thinking about the Aboleth. That's why.
he's learning a valuable lesson about telling us things that we shouldn't.
Yep. Baku's thinking about the Aboleth, like, okay, is this thing, like, how much of it can we see? Alright, so...
Based on what?
Okay,
Based on you think it's about half of it.
okay, about half of it. Okay, so then we can see it, so it's fine. I can go ahead and attack it. Oh, attack it with what, though? One wonders, since they have no idea what they're attacking.
you have True Strike.
Yeah, that's what
as a
I was gonna do, I think. I might do that.
True Strike is useful.
Yeah, that's a cantrip. So first they're gonna, cast True Strike at it and be like,
Okay, True Strike, can you copy paste the description for me? Just
Okay.
so you don't forget anything.
Okay. There we go.
Magic grants you brief insight into the target's defenses. On your next turn, you gain advantage on your first attack roll against it. Oh, you gain a brief insight into its defenses. Okay. It is resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons, which doesn't really affect... except Mama Tremaine. Her sword isn't magical. If she chose to attack. It has conditioned immunity to exhaustion, grapple, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, or unconsciousness. And you know from this spell that the type, its type is elemental. It is an elemental creature.
Okay.
So that is all you can do on this turn, Baku. Ember, you're up if you want to do anything.
I can do something, in fact.
What can you do, Ember?
Not super impressive, but oh hey, I've got a thing at 15th level. I have Purity of Spirit, which means I'm always under the effects of a Protection of Good and Evil spell,
Nice.
which I can paste that, but that does affect elementals, so
Cool.
So that means it has disadvantage on you?
yes.
Okay, that's cool.
What if Baku just yells out, I was like, it's an elemental, guys!
But I am going to cast Guardian of Faith.
Alrighty, that's a spell.
I'm gonna put it in the thing. This is the first time I think I've used the spell to do anything other than...
A large spectral guardian appears and hovers for the duration in an unoccupied space of your choice. You can see within range. The guardian occupies that space and is indistinct except for gleaming sword and shield emblazoned with the symbol of your deity, so like a sun. Any creature hostile to you that moves to a space within 10 feet of the guardian for the first time on a turn must succeed a dex saving throw. The creature takes 20 radiant damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. The guardian vanishes if it's total 6 damage. Okay, so you're putting it, I'm guessing, right on top of its stupid face?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so...
Stupid flower face.
Its stupid flower face. So it will have to make a dex save on its next turn. Okay, let me add that into the order so I don't forget.
So he does dramatic arms, and it's
Woo!
very not cool because he's in a wheelchair. But
All right, it is now the stalker's turn. Does the guardian have hit points? Like, is it corporeal? Can it be hit? It doesn't look like it can.
I don't think so. No.
No, okay. In that case, it is going to make a dex check, first of all, to see if it takes any damage. What's your spell save DC?
That is a great question that no one usually asks me.
You're-
16.
It is 16? Okay, so that means it does not take... Well, it takes half damage. So it takes minus 10 damage. Alright, and then it is going to attack... It can't attack the spectral thingy, so it's going to attack Escher, because Escher's closest to it. Let's just have him roll 2d20 and just 2 and 3. Nope. Wow, those are both really bad rolls. And what's its modifier? 16 plus... What's your AC, Vasha?
Good question. Hang on.
When was the last time any of us played D&D?
We're all like, what?
What is a
21.
D&D?
Yeah,
21.
right.
21? When did
Yes,
you get an
because
AC
my
of 21?
My dex is 22.
Okay, so 10 plus 6 is 16, 13 plus 6 is 19. Okay, I guess...
I'm sorry that I'm so...
What's your AC, Baku?
15.
Alright, so that hits at least.
God damn it.
So you are going to take... You take 27 points of bludgeoning damage from behind, Baku.
Damn.
And it hurts. It hurts real bad. It is like pure air is slamming into you. It hoits.
Yeah, probably they literally get the wind knocked out of them. They're just like, oh.
The wind. Actually, you don't know what it is, but that's a very funny pun that you just made that you don't understand. Anywho, Mama Tremaine, she is unarmed. She does not have her armor on. She does not have her sword. Like, all her stuff is packed up in the carriage still, and she's kind of like wondering, like, should I sit this one out? I feel like I should sit this one out. I don't even have armor on.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Without Mom. I mean, honestly, I should probably sit this one out.
She kind of she'll use her turn grabbing you by the back of your wheelchair and like pulling you backward, pulling you away. She might stay to help with healing if necessary, but usually Escher has a pretty firm grasp on healing. Speaking of Escher, it is Escher's turn. He is going to use a spell that he has never used before, but I always want to remember to cast, and I never do. He is going to cast the spell Spiritual Weapon, but he is going to cast it at a higher level. He is going to cast it at the highest level, in fact. 11. 68 plus 11 each turn. Alright, and he's a priest of Lathander, so his weapon probably appears like light. It probably looks like an axe like Light's Wrath. So it's a massive silver axe that appears in front of the stalker, and he is going to attack at it. Do a real good attack. That was a terrible roll. That was like 4 ones.
Wow.
All right.
Oh my God.
Dice God does not like
Well-
us tonight.
Well, the good news is that the spiritual weapon hangs around, which is
That is
Okay, good.
all right. That is Escher's turn. That's all he can do. Next up in the order is Vasha. You just saw Baku take some damage from something, and you felt something like air gust behind you as well. You are starting to think that maybe
Okay.
there's a lot of them in this room. You do not know how many.
Alrighty.
Actually, I'm gonna have Escher roll a quick nature check. He never rolled a nature check, or Arcana, whichever one is higher for him. Which is, it doesn't matter. It's +5 either way. Okay. Escher, who's still wheezing from the blow he took, he says, "I think I know what these are. Try to keep."
What are they?
He says, they're invisible stalkers. They're from the elemental plane of air. Try to keep one alive. Try to capture it if you can. They are sentient. They can speak. We can find out who sent them.
Baku hears like they are sent in and is like, oh.
How,
Like-
how are we supposed to capture them?
I don't know. Think of something.
Helpful.
It's just like you expect me to come up
It
with
is
a
your
plan all
turn,
the
so
time.
Super, super helpful.
I don't know how we keep air from.
I know, right? Like, aesthetically, it'd be really cool to do like gust of wind, but I don't know what that would really accomplish, other than just pushing them away.
Probably not much past that. Yeah.
Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so we can still see the one that's at least.
Yes, one of them is still outlined in flower. You can still see that one.
Okay. I'm gonna try using Ensnaring Strike. Or no, Entangle?
I wouldn't imagine that a ranger would have a lot of options to ensnare an elemental.
probably not.
A paladin might, a wizard might, but or a sorcerer might.
Yeah,
but
no,
probably not a
mine
ranger.
only can like grab things that are tangible.
They are technically tangible. They're just invisible.
What about the Earthshaper? What could that do?
Well, that's what I'm looking at. Like I've got
I see.
Entangle, I've got Gust of Wind, I have Spike Growth.
Escher has a spell called Banishment, but Banishment is like literally throwing it into another plane, and it's not
Yeah.
not very good for
Yeah,
interrogation.
I was
Yeah.
looking at that one too because I do have that, but
I mean, like I've got Wind Wall.
I know that Baku has at least one spell that will work. I just don't know if
Oh,
they're
I know.
willing
I'm
to
looking
use
through
it.
all of them like.
I just don't know if they're willing to use it, since apparently they're getting very frugal with their spell slots now for some reason.
This is not happening. I have no idea why the DM feels they can treat the player this way.
How dare
This is
you
completely
call
false
me out?
news.
How dare you
back
call
to
me
my
out?
place of business in my own home.
I guess I'm gonna do Ensnaring Strike on the one that I see.
Next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack within 1 minute, the target must succeed on a strength save or be restrained until the spell ends. How long does the spell last?
It is 1 minute con.
1 minute? Okay, that's not very long. That's not going to be interrogation length.
I know, but
Okay. And it's restrained?
well,
Oh, it cannot be restrained. It is condition immune to restrained.
okay, then I'll just stick with my Hunter's Mark and I'll just use an arrow on it again. Because I'm at my wit's end.
You can't always do the fancy thing. Roll damage.
Yep. Where's my copy paste from above?
We could just kill one or all of them, and then I'll bring one of them back to life.
If you
Don't you get hurt every time you use magic?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
shit.
true. Especially a
Right?
high level spell.
Yeah, 1d10 plus level of spell and necrotic damage. Let's not do.
Oh shit! If that's true, actually, I should take damage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, what level's spell is
Yeah.
Guardian of Faith?
Yep. I'll roll it.
I didn't realize that was a
fourth.
spell. Oh,
it is a
no.
4th level spell, so it's 4d10 damage that you take.
Oh,
Hey.
no.
Okay. Emma really needs to sit this one out.
21 points of damage. All right, and subtract that off the top, my sweet
Good thing.
paladin.
I still have a shit ton of health.
Yeah,
But also,
Masha did 19 damage on the
Yeah, I got it.
that it hit. Okay.
I got that one. All right. So that was Vash's turn. Baku, you are up. I know you have at least one very powerful spell that would work. It's just a question
Gee,
of if
I
you're going to
wonder.
use it.
Yeah, because they definitely want to attack. Because, like, dude, like something just attacked me, and that just sucks, and I hate that. So, I kind of want to do prismatic spray, just because. They're gonna try to, attack the one that they can see at least.
Okay.
If that one, because that one's like the only one they can see. They don't want to wildly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You won't have disadvantage if you attack the flower one.
Yeah, exactly. The one covered in flour. And let me see.
I want to give that one the nickname an Undertale pun, flowery.
Aww.
No one's played Undertale, but it's very funny if you have played it.
I know the flower. I was like, I know the character. Yeah, I haven't played. Okay,
Flowery,
so
yeah.
We shouldn't trust Tessa. Just because they say it's funny does not mean
It's
actually
funny, trust me.
it is from what I've heard. It is cute. It also feels.
That's the game I
everything
want to
is.
get you for Christmas, Kay, by the way. I want to get you Undertale.
Okay.
Let me know when you get your new computer and I'll buy it for you.
Yes, that sounds great. All right, so let's do. Okay, I want to do prismatic spray on it, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay. You can do
We'll
that.
see which number we get. Okay, so and then
Is that
this is a.
Is that a spell
What is it,
attack or is
60
it
foot? Is it a what?
is that a spell attack roll? Like you have to roll.
Well, first of all, 60 feet. So it's everything must make a dex save throw.
Everything in 60 feet must make a dex save? That's everyone in the room.
Right. So they're gonna do careful spells. So like excluding their friends.
Okay. I guess
Right.
that's true. You're a sorcerer, so you can do that.
Okay, so I have to roll a d8 to determine like what kind of damage. Well, first, yeah, dex
Well,
save.
you have
I
to.
guess.
Well, first, okay, everyone has to make a dex save, so that's all three of the. Oh, that's one of them rolled a nat one. What's your
1,
spell save
11,
DC? So all of them failed. So go ahead and.
Okay, so it is a d8 to determine what the.
Yes, 1d8 to
Damage
determine what
is,
the damage type is. 5.
Okay, 5. That's blue, so it's cold. 10d6 cold damage.
All right. So roll 10d6. Actually, roll 20d6 plus your spellcasting modifier. Oh my god. Okay. I was a little. You almost killed all of them in one go.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing.
No, that would have been terrible. You wouldn't have been able to question any of them.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That would have been terrible. Right.
So yeah. So the one covered in flour dissipates, and the flour just falls off of it and onto the ground, with a roar. And you hear similar roars from behind you. And Escher's like, Jesus Christ, Baku! Dial it down! We need to question them!
I feel like this is
I was like, I'm sorry. It startled me.
This is
I don't
revenge
like things I can't see.
not save your spell slots. You're like, I'm not saving any spell slots. Baku's like either at like 100 or 0.
Right. There is no in between.
Alright, so that one of them is gone. 2 of them are almost dead. Next up in the order is Ember. Is there anything that you want to do?
I think Ember forgot because
You
Amber
can.
forgot.
I think as an action you can move the Guardian.
Okay.
Which-
I guess I moved the Guardian in front of like me and my mother. Because I just remembered that I'm an invalid and I shouldn't be doing anything.
Okay. Oh my god, they're God, that was almost their entire hit pool, Baku. What the fuck, Baku?
I mean, someone was telling the player, like, oh, you have big spells, you should.
Yeah, I mean you do, but still, that's a lot of damage. Okay. Next, so that's what you do with your turn, Ember. You move the Guardian in front of you. So anything
Yeah.
that comes towards you gets Guardianed.
Yep, exactly.
Guardian.
Guardianed. All right. Next up is the Stalkers' turn, or what's left of them. They have no choice but to continue attacking, so they are gonna for 13 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okie dokie.
Now you now feel that gust of air behind you turned into an owie. That turned into an ouch.
Youch!
And next up, the other one is the one behind Baku. What's your AC again, Baku? It's
15.
15? Okay, so one attack hits you. That was 17 points of damage. Mama Tremaine is, it's her turn. She's probably not going to do anything. She's like, okay, you boys have this you boys and Baku and Vasha have this under control.
Yeah, it's like you, everyone. Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna, just wheel Ember back a little bit further.
Like slowly, yeah.
Next up in the order is Escher. Escher is going to, he says, I'm going to take care of the one behind you, Vasha. Baku, try to capture the other one, please. Don't murder it horribly, Baku.
Baku's like, I get it.
Okay.
Just do it.
He's gonna move the spiritual weapon to the one behind Vasha. Okay, so the lowest roll was a 17, which is more than enough. So it is going to take 6d8 plus 11
Ooh.
from the spiritual weapon. Yep, that one's dead. So that was next up in the order. That was the spiritual weapon. Vasha, you're up. It's your turn.
Okay.
You know there's one left, but Escher just desperately begged you, please don't kill it. We need it.
Yeah, don't kill it. Right.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Or you could just wait out. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'll.
You can also
just
delay
hold
your
my
turn. Yeah,
I'll delay.
if something happens, you can pop back into the order.
Yep.
All right, Baku, you're up next in the order.
Yep. 80's my turn. Okie dokie.
So you know something
All right.
is behind you within melee range. I believe. So what do you want to do?
Okay, I can't see it.
You cannot see it. However, you can. If you reach out, you could feel it. Like you can. It is right behind you. You kind of grope
Okay.
one hand out and be like, eh.
Like, and be like, okay, so brandish the ring.
All
and
right.
use imprisonment.
What
Good
kind of
plan.
what kind of imprisonment do you want to use?
Exactly, that's
there's
just
so
what
many
I'm looking
options.
at. Imprison.
You need something that would allow it to be interrogated.
Right. So probably.
Chaining would probably work.
Yeah, I was thinking chaining. Hedge prison. No, let's go with chaining. Yep.
Yeah, chaining
So-
would probably be best.
Yeah. So they're gonna do chaining imprisonment then.
And normally it is immune to being restrained, but this is imprisonment is a high enough level spell that it doesn't matter. Like
Right.
this is a beefy spell. This is a very powerful spell.
Just gonna pasta it in there. There we go.
Heavy chains firmly rooted in the ground hold the target in place. The target is restrained until the spell ends. Can't move or be moved by any means. Yep. So enormous metal chains spring up from the ground and they sort of twist around an invisible form that you can't see. You can see thrashing, like something inside the chains is thrashing, and you can hear the metal
Yep.
clinking and clanking, and you hear
Lovely.
Escher is the first to step forward, and he's limping because he just took 13 bludgeoning damage to the ribs.
Right.
He's like, all right, this is an elemental creature, so does anyone speak Orin?
No.
Speak what?
Orin, the language? Orin?
Nope.
Um,
Oh, but Baku has no wait. I think that's also through the ring. Comprehend language. Yeah, that's
yeah,
one charge.
I think Escher has that spell too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got comprehend language. Yeah, so he'll cast comprehend language on himself. And actually, I just realized what time it is. So let's leave the interrogation for next time.
All right. 9:42.
Yeah, it's getting late, but it's good because we had a very short